Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining the channel today. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves this weekend. Today is episode 21 in my little mini-series called Back to Back, the Greatest Album Pairs of All Time. And I'm still on the path of doing 24. I have not found that elusive 25th episode, but I do have 24 instead of the original 20. But again, today's 21 in the series. And then once the series is over, of course, we'll be moving on to other topics. But today is a very special, they're all special, right? I say that, but they are, I have to say that, right? This is a band in the United States, progressive in many ways, not at first, and they're from Seattle. We're not talking about a grunge band. But before we get into this American band, let's talk about the qualifications for what it means to be part of, in my humble opinion, the greatest album pairs of all time. And again, if you're not new to the channel or the series, that's why I'm doing this at the beginning of all the videos here for this series. They must be back to back in the discography, wherever that part of the discography is. They must complement one another. They're companion albums in some way or ways. The second one chronologically must pick up where the previous one left off. They could have been a double album. This pair would be a really long double album. Not so much in the length time part of that, but just as there's just so much going on, you'll see what I mean in a minute. And they must be considered seminal works. Now for this one, for some of these, as I said in previous videos, the pairs in question are the peak of the band's peak. Another way of saying that is that of their best album run, these would be the two best. Well, in this case, these, in my estimation, are seminal works because I love them so dearly. I think some people have argued that, some people maybe not. But this is a band who peaked too early with their third album, a concept album. And yes, I'm talking about Queensryche. Their best album in so many of our estimations is Operation Mindcrime. But having said that, Empire and Promised Land definitely pairs, if you ask me, and I'll talk about in today's episode why. So yes, Queensryche peaked too early with Operation Mindcrime, but while these are not as great as said Operation Mindcrime, they're quite good. They're very good. Operation Mindcrime is a masterpiece, and remember, most people argue that masterpieces are rare. There's quite a few YouTube videos on that. I will not touch upon that, at least not anytime soon. But these, while not masterpieces, are quite good. And so it's still part of the band's best album run, and I think it ends with this gem here. But anyway, so let's get started. So starting with Empire, since it came first. While the previous album, Operation Mindcrime, as I said, is a concept album, so it's one story, this album, and in many ways this album, they feel like a collection of short stories, especially this one. This one may be a concept album, and I'm going to talk about why in a little bit, of course. So we talk about the opening track, Best I Can. You have some wonderful keys in the beginning. The vocals are phenomenal. And what makes the song is Chris DeGarmo's guitar. The solo is just dynamite. And I love the background vocals here as well. So again, back to this album as a collection of short stories, but yes, a collection of short stories set to music, dealing with real issues, and of course, Best I Can deals with a person being in a wheelchair and continuing their life, and it's very captivating. Is it the band at their best? No, but it is a good song. Next is a song that I just absolutely love, and that's The Thin Line. The opening riff is fabulous. The bass here is exquisite. As a bass player, this is a song that I just love to play as an instrumental. And sometimes I'll change things and go into a little different direction with a little run here, a little solo, and then go back to the main thing that's going on here. But anyway, in the song, it's just great. This could fit on Rage for Order, the song. The vocals from Tate are grade A, and the acoustic guitar that goes with the song that pairs nicely with the electric guitar is fabulous. Next is Jet City Woman, the overplayed radio hit. It is a good song. I dare say great, dare say fabulous. The bass intro here is one of my favorite from the band. When the guitar comes in, it's fabulous. And then after the guitar comes in, the guitar picks up even more, and it's a little heavier. This is a relatable song if you've ever been in a relationship with someone who goes on a road trip and that sort of thing, and you miss them. So it's a love song in many ways. And the end of the song segues into the next because which the next song, of course, is Della Brown. And in Della Brown, once that begins, you hear a woman calling for a taxi. Is that the Jet City woman in the previous song landing? And now she's like, I think so. But it moves away from her because she gets in the taxi and drives. You hear the taxi cab drive away. You hear horns honking. Is it New York City? Maybe. And then, of course, the song is dealing with homelessness, a particular homeless woman who missed up on the chance of having a husband. I won't go into the whole story. The bass here is just fabulous. I love this. Is another bass song. This is another bass piece I love to play, and I will move into other waters while I play the main part here like I did. But it's just a great song to jump off from and do your own thing if you like to do that. And the bass, I think, is the best part of the song. That's what makes this piece. Then we have the fabulous Another Rainy Night. This is very similar to Jet City Woman in the fact that you're dealing with loneliness. Is it a part two to Jet City Woman? Maybe, but either way, it still has that same feel to Jet City Woman because someone is being missed. I like the song better than Jet City Woman, however. I think the song is fabulous. Is Tate singing from experience? Maybe. You can't always put biography into art, but maybe here so. Next is Empire, the title track. You get that answering machine and the voice, I feel like a 2-ton heavy thing hit me or something like that. We don't live in an age anymore with answering machines much, do we? Song's overplayed. I do like it, however. But the narration of statistics, I can deal without. In 1980 Bliss, this happened, and, it kind of disrupts the flow of the song. Overall, it's a good song. It's not a great song, but it is a good song. Next is a song I like much more than Empire, and that is Resistance. I just love this song. It's quiet, it's heavy, it's quiet without being quiet, it's heavy without being heavy, it's a little bit of both, it's hard to explain. It's not soft, it's not metal, but it's just cool. Great harmony, great background vocals. Silent Lucidity, I often skip this one. It is a great song. It is, dare I say, fantastic song. But it's so depressing. There's that part where the woman cries out, "Help me," and it's very moody and emotional, and there's a place for it. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point, but right now, still in that mindset, and I have been for years. I have not listened to the song in the longest time. On the rare chance that I'm listening to the radio when this comes on, I just turn the radio off. Next is Hand on Heart. I love the song. It's a sleeper cut like Resistance. It's a nice deep cut, as I said. It's all about Tate and the bass here, if you ask me. That's what I focus on when I listen to this. I think it's a great song. I think it's undervalued. And this just reminds us what a great voice Tate had. And because if you listen to him now, he's not the vocalist he once was in his various projects, which I'm not a big fan of. The chorus here is fabulous. Next is the closing track. I'm sorry, I got one more before that. Sorry, the next song is One and Only. You have a great riff. Drums kick ass when they come in. You have a slightly fast-paced. This is a slightly fast-paced song for a love song, but it works. The guitar is dreamy, bluesy, metalish, ballady, all rolled into one. The instrumental part at the end with the guitar, bass, and drums is just great. What a great way to end the song. Not a great song, but it is a song I do like, and I rarely skip it. Now, the final track on Empire, not counting the bonus tracks if you have the bonus track edition, which I have here, is Anybody Listening? ? At the end, foreshadowing the last song. And the next album ends with a question mark. We'll come to that. So if we go back to Queensryche's EP, all the way up to and including Promised Land, in my opinion, I see them as being masters of how to end an album. Each of these albums, again, from the EP, The Warning, Rage for Order, Operation Mindcrime, Empire, Promised Land. The album tracks are some of the best, if not the best, closing album tracks of all time. You have Lady Wore Black, you have Road to Madness, you have I Will Remember, you have Eyes of a Stranger on Operation Mindcrime, and Anybody Listening. And on here, as I'm about to talk about, Anybody Listening for Empire, and Someone Else on Promised Land. All right, so let's talk about Anybody Listening. This song is partly about bittersweet feelings of being on stage as a musician, and it's also about other things as well. You have some great acoustic opening. You have a great acoustic opening here with some great bass as well opening the track. Bluesy guitar comes in later to set the mood. Not far off into the song, just I guess about a minute in, because we're focusing on the acoustic and the bass, right? And then when that bluesy guitar comes in, it's just fabulous. And then when Tate sings, you're like, wow, you're mesmerized. You and I long to live like wind upon the water. Just so poetic, right? If we close our, just, oh man, chills, right? Anyway, and then a couple times in the song, he talks about the future, wanting to, be retired with sand beneath his feet, and then later on, sand beneath your feet. So he's speaking to us as well about this is, a dream most of us have, to retire and live a nice, quiet life after our, life of hard work and that sort of thing. The solo here is fabulous. It's just dynamite. This is a song that's light and shade because it bounces back and forth between the soft parts with the piano and just the moody and dreamy stuff into something a little heavier. It's not heavy, but it's got some heavier styles to it. And there's Tate's voice is the highlight of the song, let's face it, as many of his songs in the last two albums here. Some of the lyrics here, read between the lies or read between the lines, it may be both. Talking about hiding behind the mask, very Shakespearean. Makes me think of Evanescence. The first album she sings, Amy Lee sings, without the mask, where will you hide, right? Then you have the waves come in towards the end, which is a nice touch. So the dream has been achieved. And then you hear voices, sounds Irish, but it's one of the band members if you listen with headphones closely. And then you hear the door slam shut, and then the song's over, and the album's over unless you have the bonus tracks. Wow, I love this song. When I was a bartender, I requested that they put this album on the jukebox just so I could hear the song every night. Love the song. Now let's talk about Promised Land. Is this a concept album? It seems so, because you have the opening track, 9:28 a.m., which is the birth of a child and the death of the mother. And then Tate comes in the second song, I Am I, singing about I'm existing. He's the child growing up. And this seems to be, with exception of one or two songs, about the protagonist going through their life and their failures, mostly about their failures, their hopes and their dreams being dashed, and where they went wrong in life. But we'll come to that. So, and whether or not this is this a concept album, or is it like Empire and it's a collection of short stories? I'm more akin to think it's a concept album, but we'll get to that, as I said. So the first song, 9:28 a.m., is just an introduction, very brief. You have a heartbeat that the song begins with. Well, before we get into the song, some people I worked with at Musicland in Sam Goody had said that this was Queensryche trying to be their version of Pink Floyd. Perhaps. Anyway, so the song begins with a heartbeat, and then you hear the heart monitor that goes along with it, and then the heart monitor crashes, the person flatlines. Then you hear these soundscapes for a minute and change, and then you hear these chiming sounds, like some sort of crystallization going on, and then you hear the baby crying, so that makes us think of The Wall, hence the Pink Floyd reference, that song, right? And that segues into I Am I, where Tate comes in. But what's interesting is, since you have the heart monitor flatlines and then the baby crying, this leads us to believe that the protagonist, if this is a concept album, doesn't have a mother, and then of course, because the song later doesn't have a father, although their father is alive. Anyway, so I Am I is not a great song. it's okay. You have these soundscapes and slightly menacing guitar here, and then the song ends with Tate saying, "What now?" And then you hear this like da-da-da-da thing where his voice kind of has this Max Headroom feel to it, and then it segues into the next song, which is a song I just greatly love. It's called Damaged. This is where things get going with the album. This song would have fit nicely on Empire. I really like the song a lot. And what's interesting is, like the Warning album, you have that song NM156, and Rage Against the Machine, you have that song Screaming in Digital, which has to deal with the dehumanization of man. There seems to be a bit of that going on. Maybe it's a metaphor more than literal, like in those songs, because Tate sings the broken part of my machinery. Is he part machine, or is he talking about something mental, or is it literal in the kitchen or something? Who knows? Anyway, the guitar solo here is very similar to the song Empire. The whole album in many ways has that same tone and vibe. I like it. Now, here's where things really get interesting. At some point, maybe halfway through the song, Tate sings Mother Mary in Control. So are we back to Operation Mindcrime? Is this song about Nikki? Is this album about Nikki? Is this a part 2 to Operation Mindcrime? Or is this just a prequel to what's going on? Or this is a sequel to? If it is, it's much better than Operation Mindcrime 2, which I don't know if I ever talk about that album. Maybe, but man, if it is, and I have a playlist where I have this song Damaged somewhere in the playlist with Operation Mindcrime, just that one song, because of Mother Mary in Control. Domineering Stranglehold is the next part of lyrics. So again, is this Nikki? That's really cool if it is. What else could it be, right? Anyway, part of the other lyrics is, he psychoanalyzed the chapters on the path to my darkest day. And so the use of chapters as a metaphor for his periods of life that he's living. But in the earlier song, I Am I, he talks about being a novelist or something. So there's that connection to that. The solo near the end of the song is chilling. And then the instruments collide and collapse at the end. It's kind of cool. Now, the next song is Out of Mind. Song about people with dementia and Alzheimer's. It's acoustic. Tate is fabulous here. It's sad though. I do like the song. I do play it when I play this album straight through. It's hard not to play this album straight through because all the songs segue into each other. There's that Pink Floyd touch again, I guess. So it begs the question, if this is Nicky, did his mom indeed die? Or does he have a relative in the home, who's lost their mind, that sort of thing? We'll come to that. It seems to be a sequel to this song. I do like the song. Anyway, the next song is Bridge, and this song is about the protagonist's father, if there is a protagonist, or is it just a separate story? It's sad, like the previous song. The father never connected with the son, and now it's too late. This is reminiscent of Harry Chapin's Cats in the Cradle, right? The son here is speaking, again, is it Nikki? And part of the lyrics are very moving. The whole song is moving, but talks about how he narrates the son and the father, because the father says at one point, I want to build a bridge and make it last, and something like that. And then Nikki says, or whoever says, you never built a dad. And it is so moving. It's just, so dealing with a character in the story who has an absent father or absent mother. The mom might be dead, the father's alive, but he's not present. Think Romeo and Juliet, Frankenstein, right? That kind of thing. All right, next is the title track, Promised Land. Have a haunting opening. The whole song is quite haunting, even when the saxophone comes in, which is quite good here. This is very reminiscent of Road to Madness, but without segueing into a heavier, higher register vocal piece. It's the same vocal range throughout for the most part. It's very moody. As I said, the saxophone is cool. It's chilling. I actually like it here. And then you have some lyrics. Where did it all go wrong? There's a cry out in anguish from Tate about halfway through the song where he just goes, ah! It's very compelling. And then you have the character at the end of the song leaving the bar because you hear, the chaos of voices because at some point in the song he's talking about, hey bartender, buy me another round, would you? Something like that. And then he's leaving the bar, so the voices start to echo. Then you hear the footsteps of Nicky or whoever, of his boots or shoes crunching in the gravel outside. Then you hear frogs croaking, and that segs into Disconnected, which is a fabulous song. That song picks up with the frogs croaking. Then you get seagulls, so it's now night to day. And then you hear the railroad siren warning, and then the train passes. And then you hear police sirens. Then you hear a jackhammer. And then finally you hear a voice operator from, the phone, someone trying to make a phone call, and it says, sorry, this number is disconnected, that sort of thing, right? We don't have payphones anymore. And then the bass comes in, which is just great. This is a moody song, also pairs nicely with Promised Land. These songs are very similar because not just because they connect, they're almost the same song in many ways, but anyway. It's very moody, like the previous song. Tate mentions pills and surgery as the new metaphor for reality. It sounds like Nicky to me, because he talks about a new hairdo and, surgery, right? Anyway, despite both of these songs, Promised Land and Disconnected, being slow and meandering, I like them. And the sax in the background near the end of the song is quite nice as well. I like when Jeff plays a little sax. Not too much, but a little bit. All right, now the next 4 songs in this album are the best part of this album. This is the highlight. These are the 4 highlights of the album, and the best part of this 4-part highlight of the album is Tate's vocals. That's what's the main goal here, I think, in putting them on the album, if you ask me. And there are great lyrics that accompany the vocals, and great chorus as well. So the first song is Lady Jane. You have this nice piano intro. It's a very sad and moving and compelling song. Thanks to Tate, it's very moving. It seems to be suggesting that if you listen, because it starts with girls outside in the playground, but it may be one of the women in the nursing home who's come out of her dementia momentarily, because that can happen. I think Spencer Reed's mom on the show, Criminal Minds, right? There's a couple episodes where she's lucid, right? And so your eyes are wide today, sings the narrator here, suggesting that that's happened. Maybe that's how I'm interpreting sometimes. The solo here is so much like the album Empire, maybe even the Empire song as well, but it's great, and the piano was fabulous as well. Next we have My Global Mind. The intro guitar kicks ass. It talks about global issues like hunger, the World Wide Web, being connected all the time, which is ironic considering the song Disconnected, right? You can be disconnected because you're connected, right? Too much. We can relate to that today. So the global world, the internet age, he says at one point, welcome to the internet age or something like that. Information age. It's very emotive. I like it. The next 2 are the best part of these 4 songs. And so the next song is just fabulous. One More Time. Acoustic and electric guitar here. And also the suggested from the previous song about wearing a mask. Poker face. No, he doesn't want to let anyone in. The character here. The chorus, hairs on end when I listen to it. The whole song, really. The song is about being given another chance. And tied to that, Tate belts out about finding the man I thought I was. So redemption, atonement, that sort of thing. The chorus comes in after that. If you can relate to the song, it may bring tears to your eyes. It's that good. There's a phenomenal solo here and has an Empire tone. So again, great companion album to Empire. I can't say enough about this wonderful song, as well the next one. So the next song is Someone Else, ? Very similar to the previous song. I'm sorry, very similar to the last song on Empire, because the song title ends with a question mark. So it's asking a question, right? And along with One More Time, Someone Else is 2 of the greatest Queensryche songs of all time, if you ask me. Of the 4 songs, these, as I said, these are my 2 favorite, and I think Someone Else is my favorite of this one with One More Time. Comparing the 2, this is my favorite of the 2, as I said. Now, Oh, what I wanted to say was, yeah, this is important. So, as I mentioned earlier in this video, I mentioned that Queensryche is notorious in a good way for giving us great album closers. Well, here they give us 2 instead of 1. So that's why this album is so momentous for me and such a nice treat to have 2 really great. You have really 4 great albums. I'm sorry, you really have 4 back-to-back songs that end the album, but the last 2, it's just Queensryche outdid themselves. They give us the double expectation of what we want, because they do this on every album, but we get 2 this time. It's just great. I'm just so passionate about this album because of these 4 songs, and especially these 2 other 4. Anyway, so 2 great closing tracks back to back. Tate being the singer-songwriter here, it's just him and the piano. So think of Tate wanting himself to do an Elton John piece, but it's Queensryche or Tate doing Elton John, right? That's how I think of it. Think of the Cinderella song, You Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, where Tom Kiefer's at the piano. It's just so very singer-songwriting for a heavy metal group or hard rock act, but it works. It doesn't always. Here it works, and so it does with Cinderella. So that's the connection, really. So it's just him and the piano, voice and piano, so much emotion. Tate is at his best here, if you ask me. And like the previous song, maybe a song that brings tears to your eye, or a tear to your eye, or you may well up a little bit because it's so emotional. And of course, the song begins lyrically with, when I fell from grace, never realized how deep the flood was around me. And then something about a man whose life must toil is like a kettle left to boil, and the water left these scars on me. I get emotional just saying that. And then he says, I know now who I am, if only for a while. So see how emotive this song is? It's just fabulous. There's just such passion in Tate's voice, and I miss that from him. Anyway, he talks about being at not only a crossroads at his life, but at the edge of the crossroad, excuse me. And then later on he sings over and over again, I see someone else, not me. But he says, when looking back, I see someone else, not me. And he's always looking back, and he can't help himself. Again, I invite you to discover or explore or think about, is this Nicky? Because it sounds like it. This is very similar story-wise and thematic-wise to Eyes as a Stranger. He's looking at himself. Remember that old video? Not the commercial one on MTV, but there was another one that they just stopped showing, where you see Jeff Tate. He has the long hair and the bangs, and it's black and white, and he looks up and he's looking in the mirror, and Nicky doesn't know who he is. But then again, of course, that changes because he says, I remember now, right? So is this the same guy here? I like to think that it is, because there's just so much in common with that. I could be wrong. And later on in the song, he says, I'm still standing strong and proud. And then he says, there's so much more I can be. And the way that he delivers that is just amazing. And this reminds me of Ophelia and Hamlet, because she says, we know who we are, but not what we may be. So again, Tate belts, there's so much more I can be. And then he says, I think I finally understand. So that's great. The message here is kind of similar, not exactly, to Rush's Available Light on Presto, the closing track of that album, where Geddy sings about how he has a photograph in front of him and a person I used to be, right? So kind of similar to that, not exactly the same. Now, finally, there's a full band version of the song, if you have the bonus tracks version, and it's with the full band, and it has Tate having playing on the sax here. It's not as good as the piano Tate vocals only, but I do like it. It's worth a listen, and it's worth having. So there you have it, folks. So I have 3 more episodes to go in this mini-series. I hope you're enjoying it. Please post in the comments what your thoughts are, if you have the time, regarding these 2 great albums. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a blessed Sunday. Bye now.